been burned, I've been broken, still I rise, yeah, the story's been spoken. Every scar just shows what I came through. I'm stronger now, and I shine brand new. The climb was steep, but I held on tight. Step by step, I found my light. Shots fired, but I keep moving, turn the pace, steady grooving. From the ashes, I'm reaching high, altitude living, I'm touching the sky. Shots fired, but I keep moving, turn the pace, steady grooving. From the ashes, I'm reaching high, altitude living, I'm touching the sky. Not my trauma, not my change.
Welcome back to The Rise from Ashes to Altitude, a living, breathing book tour based on my award-winning book, Shots Fired, A Heroine's Memoir. I'm your host, Tracy Lance, and through intimate conversations, behind-the-scenes storytelling, and powerful guest voices, we explore what it really means to rise from trauma, reclaim resilience, and turn wounds into wisdom. Each episode is a tour stop into a different part of the journey that takes us somewhere new, geographically, emotionally, spiritually, from fire and bullets to forgiveness and elevation. Our mission is to create a space where vulnerability is honored, healing is possible, and every listener is reminded your story carries strength, your voice carries truth, and your scars are no longer wounds. They're beauty marks of survival that make you bulletproof. Our setting today is from the Sonoran Desert of Mesa, Arizona, and fits our next guest, Karlette's journey, perfectly. Here's why. The desert represents survival. Life thrives in harsh conditions. Just like Karlette, earning 3 degrees in 5 years through a pandemic, a toxic marriage, and a major life transition. Wide open skies symbolize freedom. This aligns with her post-divorce chapter, relocation, and reclaiming her independence. Mountains in the distance mirror endurance, and as a retired marathoner, this landscape reflects the long-distance mindset she's lived by. Sunrise imagery, new beginnings, perfect for her doctorate, NICU certification journey, and milestone birthday. Mesa embodies quiet strength with bold beauty, exactly like Karlette. Black, bold, beautiful, educated, sassy, and a whole vibe. Just like the desert doesn't ask for permission to bloom, Karlette didn't wait for perfect conditions. She built her future anyway. This is Karlette's story. Please welcome Dr. Karlette Ford, a pediatric occupational therapist, retired marathoner, vegan, mother, and one of the most inspiring women you'll ever meet. Karlette, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I was listening to that like, oh, she about business. That's me. That's talking about me.
Yes. Yes. How are you over in Mesa?
I am adjusting to this dry heat, this dryness. Like my skin and my hair went through a complete transformation since I've been here. I've always been oily, and now it's just like it's sucking the life out of me.
Yes, it's 72 degrees there now.
Yes. I've been enjoying just being able to get out and walk and enjoy the weather since it no longer is in the triple digits. It's no longer feeling like hell outside. So I've been enjoying every bit of it.
Yes. So I know you were here, you lived here, which is how we met. And you moved there how long ago?
It was a year ago. I moved here exactly August 18th, 2024 was the day I officially became an Arizonian.
Wow. Any regrets?
You know what? I don't know yet. So since I've been here, it's been about work and school. So since I finished school, I've been able to kind of get out and see what Arizona has to offer. So I don't know how I feel about it just yet, but we'll see. you
We'll,
know.
it's a snowstorm in a snow vortex going on here. We were snowed in yesterday. So I think that there's somewhat of an appreciation that you should have for where you live now as compared to what we're still going through.
A friend of mine had posted that he had shoveled his driveway today, and I quickly sent a heart emoji like, "Oh, I don't miss that at all. Like, no, you couldn't
No.
pay me to return back to that. No, thank you."
Are you originally from Chicago?
I am, but funny thing is, I was not born in Illinois. I was actually born in Columbus, Mississippi, in a house, but moved to Illinois as a young child. But a lot of people still say they hear that country twang in me.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know how. I've not returned since the day I was born. So,
Yeah, my sisters and I have that country twang, and everybody's like, "Are you guys from the South?" Like, no, but my dad was from the South. We were born
mhm,
and raised in Chicago, but still we have that country twang. So you're not alone.
mhm,
So first, I want to say, I listened to your Facebook Live episode. I think it was last September.
mhm.
And when I listened to that, I knew that I wanted to have you on the show. You were throwing down some real, I mean, the nuggets you were putting out should be in a book. Um, and I listened to it, and I've listened to it multiple times. And I'm just so inspired by some of the things you have had to say regarding, uh, you leveling up, pursuing your 3 degrees while going through some traumatic things and losing relationships and things like that. So I think you just did an impromptu Facebook Live, went on there and just shared your thoughts, your feelings, your stories. But I don't think you realized the gems that you were throwing down in that in that Facebook Live. So those are the things that I want to dive a little bit more into. But
Okay.
how does this season of your life right now compare to where you were even 5 years ago?
Oh, I am nowhere near the same version of myself that I was not even 6 months ago, let alone 5 years ago. Ooh, that version of myself that scene in that Tyler Perry movie, Christina, yeah, Christina is gone. She is no longer around. Like, who are you talking about? Because
Yes,
she is gone. She's been through too much to
yes,
be the same person. There's no way that I could have survived, and I'm going to use that word survived, what I went through and still be the same version of myself. There is no way possible for that to even happen.
yes, which is what you were talking about, because your journey is so incredible. And when we're changing and evolving um, and moving upward and onward, away from people, away from things that no longer serve us. It just connects so beautifully with my book, the theme of my book, Shots Fired. And I know you've probably not finished reading that book yet, but
I
what was
did. I
did you
did.
really?
I read the entire thing. I was finished, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, because you sent it to me. I want to say October, like the end of September, early October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from the book?
That we are more alike than I could ever even imagine.
Yes.
Like the way that we continue to push and do what needs to be done, what we're called to do
Yes.
in times of just I have like no words. I'm like, I feel like this is why we connected. This is why, we get along so well. I was like, yeah, like I'm reading your story. I'm like, that sounds like me. Like, huh.
And then when I was your Facebook Live, I'm like, that sounds like something I would say. Like, and I think we first met through marathon running. I'm a retired
Mm-hmm.
marathoner, you're a retired marathoner. And we learn a lot just by running alone. But even from the point I think we met at one of the races, we just clicked from there. And
Mm-hmm.
just watching your journey, watching you grow, following your story is just so inspirational to me. So you spent 26 years as a certified occupational therapist,
Yeah, assistant,
assistant,
a
and
coda.
yes. And then you returned to college in 2020, right before the pandemic. What was it like after being away from academia for all of those years, deciding to go back? And then what inspired that?
Well, as OTs, as occupational therapists, we tend to, you know, flip and just do different settings. And so it was around that time where I noticed, I'm like, I wasn't happy with the position that I was in, first of all. But then when I went to the job boards, you know, years ago, you could leave a job on Friday, have a new job by Monday, but that wasn't happening. Had been going on interviews and they were trying to lowball me with my salary. I'm like, I'm not a new grad. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I've been in this. Like, no. So I'm just like, I think I need to go back to school. I'm like, they're not paying me. And so the thing that really solidified that decision for me to go back to school was a man. It's always, an issue with a man. So what happened was I was supposed to do this home health position, whereas, you do therapy in people's homes. You drive around, have your list, do this in the home. So I told the owner of this agency, I told him, I was like, I only want to be in the South suburbs, whatever, take that to mean whatever it is you want it to mean, but I don't want to be in Chicago. And I was like, it's certain areas in the South suburbs that I don't want to be in. I'm not doing Harvey. I'm not doing Robbins. Sorry. I've had, triggers with those areas before. So I'm like, I have to worry about my safety. My daughter still needs me at this point in her life. So no, I'm not going to, risk my life to help someone else on their journey. We're not doing that. From there, he was just like, oh, well, I have some positions. I have some kids that need to be seen in around Midway. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to be placed by Midway. I'm not going to be driving from University Park to Midway every day. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, no, I'm not doing that. And so he was like, oh, okay, I have some kids in the South suburbs, like, you want it, blah, blah, blah. So I'd already given my 2-week notice to my job because at the time I was working in a skilled nursing facility. And so went to start with the position. So he pulled a fast one and was just like, oh, well, would it be okay? Can you, see the kids by Midway? I'm like, no, I already told you, no, I'm not doing that.
Part of that didn't you hear?
That part. So, I don't know if he thought that, oh, because now I'm out of a job and, he's going to try to force me in to, be in a place where I specifically told him that I didn't want to be. And so I was just like, no. So I turned down the position. And so that kind of like snowballed everything because now I'm in a hurry to try to find a job. Because at that time, I probably had like 6 to 8 months worth of money set aside in case something happened, accidents, whatever. And so then I was going to have to just start tapping into other things. So I was just like, oh, Lord, like what I'm going to do now. So started interviewing, like I said, and they were lowballing me. And I'm just like, so I talked to my ex-husband. Well, he was then my husband, but stuff. And was just like, yeah, we'll get to that later. And so I was just like, listen, I was just like, I feel like this will be the perfect opportunity for me to go back to school at this point. And I was like, if you hold the fort down for 3-4 years or whatever, let me go back, get my degrees. And I was like, it'll pay for itself my first year out of school.
Yes.
So he agreed to it. And so I started school in January of 2020. We were on campus all of maybe 4 or 5 weeks before everything got shut down. And then it went to online schooling. And that was just so much fun because I'm just like, I'm not a tech girl. Like, wait a minute. And so I'm having to navigate not only being in school, but also doing everything virtually. So that was just so much fun, but I'm glad that's all over with now.
So were you going for your undergrad or your master's at this time?
So I thought that I would have been able to just, go and, do my whole little master's thing. No. So Governor State, because that's the school that I was looking at going to do my graduate school. And so they pulled a fast one. It was like, oh, we looked over your credits, blah, blah, blah. You need this, and this. I'm just like, oh, come on. So I had to go back to school for my undergrad for a year in order to even be able to get accepted into their program. But I ended up not even going there because the school that I went to for my graduate degree, I ended up, they gave me a full academic scholarship.
Yes.
So who's heard of that? Like, who gets a master's degree for free 99? I did.
Right.
So how was I gonna pass up that? Like literally, I feel like the universe lined up everything in order for me to pull all this off. Like I had credits like, okay, I'll do whatever. I had to spend a year doing, extra stuff. Okay, fine. I did that. Got into my master's program. So, everything lined up. I didn't have to spend any extra money. I got stipends just for going to school. All I had to do was maintain a B average. Because C's don't get degrees in my field.
Yes, exactly. So who were you becoming while you were collecting all of these degrees?
Who was I becoming? I was becoming a force to be reckoned with.
Yes,
At the end of the day, if people thought that I was too much to handle before, I'm not to be played with now. You're not gonna play in my face ever. Period.
yes, yes. So let's talk about the personal side of that season you were in. During that journey, I think you talked about how with elevation comes isolation, comes clarity, comes separation. What were the things that were going on then that made you say these things?
I feel like there was a lot of like personal things going on. And so when you start to evolve and you're changing into someone that really people that knew you no longer recognize, right? Um, that triggers people.
Yes.
Like, like, wait a minute, like you're not the same. So then it becomes the narrative is you're mean and you're not this or you're that because they're used to you being a certain way.
Yes.
They're used to you showing up for them in a certain way. And when I was going through what I was going through, I I'm on autopilot. I'm on survival mode. Like, what? Like you want me to do what? Like I can't give any more of myself. My cup is empty at this point. And so I feel like, when we elevate, I think of it in terms of, how when you watch a rocket ship, they do the countdown and it takes off into space, and those two little things on the side, the little boosters, I believe they're called boosters, they fall off. But the rocket keeps propelling forward to its destination, right? So I feel like, I started to look at people as if they were those boosters. Everybody can't go to you to your destination.
That's
They
right.
have to fall off. If you don't have the equipment to stay attached to me, I'm gonna have to lose you.
Yes.
I got to keep moving forward. Now, you have two choices. You can either elevate with me and step your game up and shoot to new heights with me, or I'm gonna have to let you go because you're weighing me down at this point and I can't hold on to you and see my dream and see where I'm being elevated to if you're slowing me down. So I'm gonna have to let you go.
That's right. Were you going through marital issues at this time or just personal relationships, or was it just all relationships that you were having, including your marriage?
No, like the marriage thing that was happening by itself. So the part whereas it became like a personal issue with my friends and my family, that didn't happen until after I moved here to Arizona. So all the while I was in school, it was the marriage, side of it, just there were some things about him that I had absolutely no knowledge of. You know, when you meet people, and I have a strict vetting process, which is why I think that it bothered me to the extent that it did, that he was able to weasel himself into my life in the capacity that he did.
Right.
You know, I waited until I was 42 to be married. You know, I had plenty of talks with men about being married. In fact, I was actually engaged to my daughter's father when I found out that I was pregnant with her. And then I found out some things about him, and I was just like, oh, whoa, I can't do this. So here's your ring back, sir. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I tried to do the family thing and just do a healthy co-parent, but he felt like because I didn't want to marry him, he didn't want to be a father. And I'm like, well, that's cool because I got a career. She won't want for nothing. That's going to be your loss, you know, at the end of the day. You know, the door's open. I didn't ask this man for a dime in child support. It was, when I tell you that I was a single parent, I was single in every sense of the word. So, you know, you do
And one of
you.
those
And
stories in the book that just perfectly aligns. Like, I'll take care of them myself. I wasn't as well off as you were, and I had 3 little babies in tow, and I was not afraid to be strong enough to say, you could call my bluff all you want, but that's only going to push me away even further from you. And it also confirms my belief that we don't need to be together. That takes a special kind of strength to be able to just walk away and say, I'm going to do this by myself, especially for you who had no idea what it would be like to be a single mom. But that didn't even dawn on you. You said, I'm gonna take on this job and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability, whether you like it or not, whether you're part of it or not.
absolutely. And I did what I needed to do. Like I said, my daughter didn't want for anything. She spent up until high school. She was in private schools. We went on vacation. She had a passport. You know, she was in grade school. I didn't get my passport till I was in my 20s. So she's cultured. We did things.
That's
We
exactly.
saw things, you know.
So during all of this that's going on, what did you silently carry during that season that most people never even saw?
Hmm. That I was hurt. That was I was down bad. I was down bad. That when I came to people, like finally, because I kept that secret, what was going on in my marriage, for probably about a good almost a year before I started to just talk about it. And it wasn't until one day I would FaceTime my mom on Sundays as I was doing like meal prep for the week and just cleaning up and doing stuff. And so she saw me one day and she was just like shaking her head at me. I'm like, what? And she was just like, I'm looking at you. I'm like, okay. And she was like, you don't look right. You don't look right. And I was like, what you mean? She was like, just shaking her head, looking at me. And then she was like, something ain't right. And I broke down crying and was
Mamas
just like,
know. Mamas know.
and they do. And that's when I spilled all the beans. I'm just like, oh, because at the time, like, you know, I didn't know this man was a functioning alcoholic. He was very just verbally abusive, very mentally, emotionally abusive. Like, he never laid hands on me, but,
Right.
you know, studies coming out now, basically, the verbal abuse is the same as physical abuse. Your brain associates it the same. Your brain picks up on, like, okay, this is bad, this happened. Like, you don't have to lay hands on somebody for it. The body keeps score regardless of what it is, if it's physical or mental.
Yes,
You
and
know,
abuse is
it's a
not just
stress.
physical. Yes, it's just the verbal, and sometimes sometimes the other types of abuse is worse than the physical.
Absolutely. It was a lot of mental gymnastics, you know, just having to suppress things. And I'm just like, because it doesn't happen overnight. Like, you know, they don't come into it. Because like I said, you know, I have a very strict vetting process when I'm dating because, you know, one thing you're not going to do is play in my face and waste my time.
Yes,
So, you know, I'm asking all the questions, you know, do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you do drugs? Do you sell drugs? You know,
yes.
uh, are you Are you married? Are you single? Are you tethered? Does somebody think they're in a relationship with you?
Yes,
You
that's right.
know,
That's right. It's not only are you in a relationship with somebody, but it's somebody in a relationship with you. Yes.
right, right. So I'm asking all the questions, and so it was the family validating things. Oh, he's a good guy, this and that and the third. And all I can say to that, y'all want to learn a new word today? Enmeshment. Enmeshment is real. Enmeshment is real. When you have people in families, they have blurred lines and they support foolishness. They're a bunch of enablers. It doesn't matter whether a person is right or wrong, they're family. So they're going to side with their loved one, no matter what they do, no matter what they say, it doesn't matter.
No matter what. Yes. And then you started elevating, and then you found clarity, and then you start looking at people like, why didn't I see that in you before? You know what? You start you put we wear these rose colored glasses, and then when you start growing and elevating, you take those rose colored glasses off and say, who are you? Then when you find out the truth about people, you feel like I can't even trust myself, because there's no way I could have ever invited you into my life had I known what I know now. Because we see what we want to see, and we have hope. Oh, it'll change, it'll get better. But because when you become better, you see clearer. And then you said something, you said the isolation with that clarity, and when you're elevating, what did that isolation teach you about yourself?
I think the whole isolation process for me, I feel like it taught me that outside of being strong and just having this will to just live and to do all the things that I put my mind to, because you can't tell me that I can't do something, because I'm gonna show you that I can, because that's just the way that my mind works.
Yes.
But I feel like it just really reinforced that how much I love myself. And not only do I love myself, I like myself. So I'm not going to allow anybody, to mistreat me, mishandle me, play in my face. No, like I am exactly who I think I am at the end of the day. I'm that girl.
Have you always felt like that? Have you always felt like had that self-love, or did something happen where you came to that realization that I have to love myself more than anything?
I think for me to get to the point where I'm at now, when I turn 40, because I got a milestone birthday coming up here in a few months, I'll be 50.
Yeah.
When I turned 40, I don't know what switch was flipped inside of me, but the 40-year-old version of Karlette was so much different than a 30 and a 20-year-old Karlette. Like, baby, when I tell you I no longer took part in things that I didn't want to. No became my favorite word. I was like a 2-year-old when I turned 40. No. And I upset a lot of people with that word, because they were like, whoa, what do you mean? No, like, we're counting on you to do this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go. I cut off family ties with people, blood people, just like, I'm good. Friendships, oh no. I paid a lot more attention to information that was being relayed to me. If you're coming telling me other people's business that I'm pretty sure they told you in confidence, and it got me to thinking, well, if you're telling me this person's business, I need to watch what I'm telling you, because you probably out, telling my business. Oh, we can't have that.
That's very
so.
Yes.
When I tell you my circle is so short, it's not even a complete circle, but I'm looking at quality over quantity. Like, you can have 100 friends, but what's the quality of your friendship look like? Are they your true blues? Are they your ride or dies?
Yes.
Because I don't care about having 1,000 followers on social media. Hell, I go and I cut people like the feds. Like, oh, you're just a monitoring spirit. Took
Yeah.
you off block. Like,
Yeah.
why are you here? Like, you don't even like nothing. You don't say nothing. You just watching to see what I'm doing. Like, that's a crazy concept to me. Like, no, you need to go.
Yes. And of course, when you elevate, your circle gets smaller and smaller, and it narrows, and it gives you peace, but it's disruptive because you're constantly weaning out people. You said letting go of people, it doesn't automatically feel peaceful.
No.
It can feel chaotic at first. What did that chaos look like for you emotionally?
Whew, I was a mess.
Yes.
I was a mess. Like, I had a family member one day ask me, this was some years ago, like, Karlette, do you ever cry? Because, like, they just felt like I was like some little robot. Like, I didn't have feelings, emotions, because I don't wear my emotions outward. Like, I'm a Capricorn. So most people say we're very stoic in nature anyway. Like, we're hard to read. Like, when people first meet me, I hear one or two things. They either say, oh, you just look like you were mean, or you look like you were stuck up. And I'm just like, can we normalize people just being quiet?
Yes.
Like, can we normalize just people minding their business? Like, why do you have to make a judgment about me because I'm quiet? You should love that. Like, I'm not the type of person that sit and talk your ears off. When I say things, I'm bringing quality content to you. I'm bringing a conversation that, you can learn something from, that you can take away information that you can gain from. I'm not just talking just to hear myself talk. But people look at that and they think, oh, well, she must be stuck up, or she mean, or this. I'm like, that's different. But can we just normalize people minding their business?
Or how about I'm just in deep thought. I'm thinking about something. I'm not walking around smiling and just,
Right.
I mean, I'm in deep thought. I'm thinking about things. But let's talk about peace again. One of the most powerful things that I heard you say was peace is going to cost you. And you said pay it at all costs.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me where you got that from? Tell me where you even got the concept that peace is expensive. Some people just can't go where your peace lives. And how did you find that? How did you find that peace? And then what did you have to pay for that?
Peace is very expensive. If you look at it in terms of, most relationships are in some form or fashion, they're transactional, whether people want to admit it or not. Like, you're getting something out of it. You wouldn't be dealing with people if you weren't getting something out of it. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. So you're paying with something.
Yeah.
Like, your time, you might give money, you might give a service, but you're paying that cost at some point, some way, somehow. You're paying for peace.
Yeah.
So when I say pay for peace at all costs, pay it at all costs. Make people stand on it. Like, be firm in your boundaries, because that's how people learn to treat you. What you are willing to accept. And just like Lauryn Hill said, that's the thing that you live to regret. That those are the things that you can't take those things back. Yeah. Like, you letting stuff constantly slide. Oh, it's okay. Like, no, I'm never nobody's doormat, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Yes. And then, when you hold on to people for so long, especially beyond their expiration date, they kind of block you from whatever is for you. And until you put them out of the way, then you're pretty much blocking your blessings.
Absolutely.
I've had several friendships that ended without closure, without any reason why. And I've learned to be okay with that. That wasn't okay with me in the beginning, but it eventually got to the point where I said, either you're going to sulk and you're going to worry yourself to death about what happened, what I could have done differently, what should have happened, And the possibility of this, you will drive yourself crazy trying to figure out what I did wrong. So how did you learn to be okay with those unanswered conversations when friendships just walked away from your life, or without that closure, without that explanation? How did you learn how to be okay with that?
I feel like for me, I can look at it twofold. As far as my marriage is concerned, not getting that closure, I feel like the disrespect, the lies, that was all the closure that I needed.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. You didn't have to say nothing else to me. You didn't have to, like, no words need to be spoken after that. Like, that was it. Like, he would weaponize like divorce to me, like, oh, I could just go to the courthouse and get the ball rolling. Okay. Like, I think in his mind, it was just like he was waiting for me to say, like, cry and beg for him to say, like, no, I want you to go. I don't want to be here. So you do whatever you need to do at this point. Like, okay. So then when I would bring it up to him, it was just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. That's so depressing. Oh, okay. So you just weaponizing it at this point. Like, that's not something that you really want to do. It's a game to you at this point. Oh, I see what you're doing now, sir. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
But as far as like my friends or like family, I can look at it like, you know what? I feel like some people just don't have the capacity to hold space for you. And I think a lot of it has to do with them having their own unhealed traumas that, they're not in therapy for, or, they haven't acknowledged it. Like, it's just a level of self-awareness that I feel like people don't necessarily have. And, that's okay. Because just like I said in that video, I think that, the more you heal, the more you look at the other relationships and you see just how one-sided they've been. Like, you see how much you've been given, and you're not getting that back in return. And it's just like, that's very interesting, because people come to you and it's like, oh, like, you used to call me on your way home from your internship, and it's just like, well, the phone works both ways.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be me calling you. You can call and check on me, especially seeing as what's going on in my life. That I'm going through a divorce. That I'm in school. That I'm working. I'm doing all the things. Hell, at this point, I don't want to talk when I'm driving home from work. I just want to be quiet, because at that point I was working with kids with autism who used to just scream, all day. And it's just like, that's a lot to deal with. Yeah. I just need to be quiet. I just want to enjoy quiet. I don't even want to listen to the radio on my ride home. I just want to be in complete silence.
Yes, that's that reciprocity and emotional equity.
Exactly.
In relationships, you feel like if people expect more of you than what you can give, it's okay to leave that relationship.
Absolutely.
We all should be selective of our time. When you make a determination that I'm getting ready to set this goal and I'm walking this path, and sometimes I'm not going to have time for this, and I'm not going to be able to do these things. And for the people who have a problem with that, then they need to be able to gracefully walk away. And then when I feel like I'm too stressed because you're causing me stress with the whole, you don't call me no more, you don't have time, I will remove myself from that friendship. When you were going through that, when did you realize you were over functioning in relationships?
When they brought to me things that I used to do in a relationship. So I took a step back and I said, I used to do those things. And it got me to thinking, well, what were you doing in that relationship the entire time that I was doing what I was doing? So you felt comfortable enough to come to me and tell me the things, had a list of things that I used to do.
Yes.
But where were you? What were you doing? Because it doesn't sound like you were reciprocating any of the things that I was doing, because clearly we wouldn't be in this space,
Yeah.
because it's an ebb and flow to any relationship. It's a give and take. So it sounded like to me it was very one-sided.
Yeah.
And you just literally proved my point.
Yeah.
So perhaps I should take back that energy that I was, giving to you in this relationship and pour that back into self, and I'll be okay. I'll be in a better place.
Yes, that's right. You said the more you heal, the more you recognize how dysfunctional certain relationships really were. Was that painful clarity? Was it painful or was it freeing for you?
I think probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely involving relationships where I didn't foresee that happening. Like, I thought that these people would be with me until like forever. Like, you don't really realize like, oh, wait a minute now. Like, like we've been thick as thieves forever, like since the day before forever. What you mean now? I gotta change my mind and kind of reevaluate. I gotta do a little side eye and like, wait a minute, like this is that was unexpected.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really causes you to just really just examine, put everything up under a microscope. And like, especially when they're bringing the information, you're like, oh, you used to blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, I did, huh? And then what were you doing?
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is. It is painful, but it's also freeing. And I think it's only painful because when we talk about grief, grief is pain. And part of grieving is not just when people die, but when you end up leaving relationships that no longer serve you, when you end up, when you move away from the norm, the things that you just are normally used to. I'm normally calling my girl every other day to talk and laugh. And when that's gone away, then it's that painful grieving process. But then once you get through that grief, then it's very freeing. You said too, the healing, it just makes people uncomfortable. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you, but more to do with their discomfort with your and what were some of those boundaries that was the hardest for you to set during that healing process? Because sometimes when you set those boundaries, that's what caused the friction in relationships.
I think for me, it was needing that time to myself and just like requiring just more time to just really sit with things that I did not have an opportunity to sit with or process when I was in Illinois, because you cannot. So I started going to therapy when I was in Illinois. I started going to therapy probably in like 2021, 2022. But, it's very difficult to heal in the place that's breaking you.
Yes.
And so, you can start the process, but you're not going to, nothing's really going to come about it. Like, you can start the work, you can do the work, but you're still in that toxic relationship. You're still in that dysfunctional environment, so then it becomes a situation whereas, you just gotta just stuff everything down and just keep it moving. Like, you don't have time to sit with it. You don't have time to process what you're going through. You don't have time to just cry or hurt or just nothing. Like, I was like a robot. And like, because he was very emotionally and very like verbally abusive towards me, I could not give him that satisfaction of knowing just like his words were just hurtful. I had to just be like, like stoic, like, you don't know if I'm happy, mad, sad, glad. And that royally pissed him off because he couldn't read my emotions. And that's like when I was crying.
That's not easy to do.
Oh no, I became just that was my thing. Like, I'm just like flat affect. Like, when poker face, baby, I mastered it. Like, you didn't know what hand I was holding. Like, oh, you said that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm already planning my getaway. Like, you just don't know.
You said you were operating in survival mode at one point. Um, and then your evolution will trigger people who benefited from your exhaustion. But your new vibration will feel threatening to anyone committed to staying the same. Why do you think evolution triggers people?
I would say because when I've always been the black sheep of my family. I've always marched to the beat of my own drum. And I think that when people on the outside looking in, they see you going through this transformation. And I think that for the most part, people have that desire to change within themselves, but they have the self-limiting behaviors. They let fear stop them. Whereas, I've been told by one too many doctors that, my life was getting ready to come to an end because I grew up with different illnesses and just sicknesses and just, by the time I got to the hospital, well, it was a good thing you came when you did because you was almost,
Wow.
you was out of here.
Wow.
So I think with me, I live my life completely different than most people because I'm almost fearless, honestly. Like you can't do anything to me whereas like, oh, I'm so afraid. Like death is not, I'm not afraid to die.
Yeah.
I feel like at the end of the day, I've lived my life in such a way that if I was to depart here from tomorrow, that I've had a good life.
Yeah, I feel the same.
There's not too many things that I regret. I can count on one hand how many things that I've done in my life and I live to regret it. So
yeah. So when you have to navigate through these relationships and relationships have their seasons and it's time to say goodbye, it's over with. Communication plays a huge role in relationships, but like you said, also comprehension does too. So how has that changed the way you engage with people now between, communication and comprehension?
I think I've looked at the two kind of just in tandem of each other because I work in a healthcare field and I'm constantly having to explain health literacy to people and just, what does this mean? What do you have to do? Like, so I can explain different components of things to people, but if they're not truly understanding what it is that I'm saying, then it's a lost cause. So I have to dial it on back, take off the medical jargon and say, okay, this is what you need to do in plain language. And so with me, I've always been the type of person, whereas I have zero qualms having to tell people what I need from them exactly. I don't sugarcoat anything, I'm dead on. And like, I think because I'm a very blunt person that, a lot of times that may like come off wrong to people or, I think people are just so used to just things being sugarcoated to them or just, oh, well, I want this, but it's okay if you don't do it. Like, no, this is what I need from you. And this is what I want. This is what I need. If you can't supply those things, then, we're good either way.
Yeah.
But just let me know. But I'm telling you exactly what it is that I need from you in this moment.
Right.
And I feel like, a lot of people, they don't do that.
Yeah.
And so they look at you like, you're an oddball out or like, oh, you doing the most or, this, then yeah, I probably do. So I probably should just go and find somebody that can, give me those things because, why am I wasting my time here?
That's right. So it's in communication, and then the communication and comprehension thing. Comprehending is the real work, and because people could only understand you at the level of their intelligence
and experience,
and emotional maturity. And not an insult to anybody; it's just reality. And I think when you are straightforward, they look at us like, the angry Black woman or the aggressive one, and you get those labels, but it's not an insult. But when you were no longer in that survival mode and you started seeing clearly, what did that look like?
I feel like for me, because we're talking at least 4 or 5 years of being in that situation. I think for me, just having clarity, just being able to just think and just peace and just feel all the things that I needed to feel and just let go of emotions that I was just holding on to. I feel like that's what clarity looked like to me, because it was just a very dysfunctional, very just chaotic environment. And that's just not what I was used to, and just being with by ourselves for 15 years. We were very peaceful, and just I could sit on my porch in the back, it's screened in, and drink my tea in the morning, and listen to fountains in the back, like birds chirping, crickets and all the things, like, that was my life. And then just to go from that to like, rah, it was like my nervous system was just like, oh my God, like, just like, what is going on here? So it was just finally just feeling that peace, and like my cortisol levels are coming down, and just, just I could feel my heartbeat, like not have to worry about, oh, so and so is here, like, I wonder what kind of mood they're gonna be in, like, type of thing. It's just like, I could just tell myself, like, okay, it's over with, like you're safe now, you can relax. You can relax, like you are okay.
Where does forgiveness play a role in your healing journey? Have you gotten to that part? Have you moved past?
So, funny thing, I have these conversations with myself in a mirror, kind of like you ever see the show Insecure, when Lisa Ray would stand in the mirror and have conversations with it. That is literally me. That has been me since, like, I have these conversations with myself, because you need to get them out, and like I have like that inner dialogue also. But sometimes like stuff just gets too deep, and I need to just hear myself saying the words. I need to see myself saying the words. So I go and I confront Karlette in the mirror, and it's just like, why is that triggering for you? Like, why is that a problem? What are you going to do about that? Because you don't need to hold on to, what you're holding on to at this point. So, what are we doing? What are we doing?
When we let our traumas trigger us, we kind of move away from it and sweep it under the rug and keep going. I
don't do that no more.
For you to be able to stand in the mirror and confront those traumas and say, how long are you going to let these traumas define you? How long are you going to let them trigger you? And what are you going to do about it? I first asked about forgiveness.
So this is how I felt about forgiveness until literally 2 nights ago, when I heard something. So I know the good Christian folks are gonna be in an uproar about what I'm getting ready to say, and I'm down on heels. That's what I do these days. So I feel like not everybody deserves your forgiveness. I'm just gonna say that they don't, because they knew exactly what they were doing when they did what they did, when they said what they said. They wasn't thinking about you. They were not being considered in any way, shape, form, or fashion when they were doing the things, right? I realized that people feel like, oh, if you don't forgive, that's just like you drinking the poison and you're only hurting yourself. And I don't know if I buy into that anymore, because my whole thing is this. Some things are just unforgivable. And I feel like unless you've been in the position that I was in, you can't talk to me about how I should feel and what I should do, because this is my healing journey. This is my experience. These are the miles that I walked in, the shoes that I had to walk in for those years.
Yeah.
Um, so that's that. But like I said, I felt like that up until the point where I heard there was a psychologist that I follow, and they were talking about how with me, my problem is the rumination process. Like, because sometimes when it's quiet, or I'll hear a song, or somebody will say a statement, and it'll just take me back to when I was in Illinois.
Yeah.
And so I have to catch myself, like, oh, wait a minute. You don't need to think about that no more. You're not there.
Yeah.
Why are you still giving energy at this point? So I have to, be on the rumination part of it, because that part is the part that I'm still working through, because it's a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, and it's just, oh man, why am I still thinking about it? Like,
Right.
can we cut this trauma bond already?
Yeah, it's something about that is still triggering for you that you haven't addressed yet. So
Mm-hmm.
and then with regard to forgiveness, I'm not even just talking about forgiving other people for what they did to you. I'm even talking about forgiving yourself.
Mm. So that is definitely something that I've done. Um, Very early on, I would think like, Karlette, how did we get here? You are way too smart to
Yes.
be in the position that you are in.
Yes.
Like, how did he get through your vetting process?
Yes.
And it was just like, it was a bunch of lies. And it was just like, the family, backed up with everything that he was saying, blah, blah, blah. And just like I said, enmeshment is real.
Yeah.
Enmeshment is real. So, I think one question that always seems to come up when I'm talking about what happened during my marriage was people, well, didn't you see the red flags? And I'm like, I pause now. I do a lot of pause, and I don't always, respond to everything right away. I've learned the power of the pause.
Right.
So I take that breath.
Yeah.
But I still got a smart mouth, because that's just still me. That's still in me.
Yeah.
So my thing is this, I reframe it back to people as far as the red flags are concerned. And I said, so you mean to tell me that you think that I will, one, uproot myself, my daughter, and my dog from a very calming, structured, routine situation to go and live in and try to survive and thrive in toxicity and chaos?
Right.
Do you really think that I would do that? When I met my ex, I had my own home. I had a career. I had my car. Like I said, we traveled, we did all the things. So
Yeah.
why would I ignore red flags from a man and introduce my daughter into adverse childhood experiences?
Yeah.
Like, that makes zero sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not giving me credit for, having intelligence above average. You're not giving me credit for having discernment. Because when things were revealed to me, and this is the way that I tend to explain the situation in my marriage that I found myself in. It's like literally putting frogs in a pot on a stove, right? And so frogs just chilling there. The environment is nice. I got everything I want. I got everything I need.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you start to turn the eye on the stove on. So it's warm, just you because things happen little by little.
Yeah.
When people go through this extreme to deceive you, they're not going to show you their hand right up front. They need for you to be able to trust them. They need for you to be able to love them. They need to be able to put on this air like, they're so charming. Like he was very charismatic. He was very debonair. Like, the life of the party. Like he shows up, like he would coin the phrase that he was a chameleon. And he truly was, like, because he could change. Like he's different versions of himself to different people.
Yeah.
So if you hear somebody talking about him,
yeah,
he's going to be different than he is at home. So going back to my frog, you turn the eye on and the water is still fine, right?
yeah.
You turn it up to medium heat now. Okay, it's getting a little warm, but it's comfortable. I'm in here now.
Yeah.
Right. So then before you know it, more and more things are being added to the mix. That fire is hot now. Like, oh, wait a minute. What the hell is going on here? Because now it's hot. I need to get out. I need to jump ship. That's how these toxic relationships evolve over time. People don't come in with the raw, like, oh, you this, that. No, they don't do all that. They're charming.
Yeah.
To say that he love bombed me would just not even be, an expression. Like, they do all these things. But like I said, it happens over time. It's a little bit here, like they sprinkling a little bit here, a little bit there. And then all of a sudden, it's just like you find yourself in this position. It's just like, well, how in the hell did I get here? Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
that is like, it's true. Like, it's like they send their representatives. And then
absolutely.
You think you know this person until things start happening and you see how they respond or how they act and their behavioral changes in certain situations. And then you look like, we're in this situation. Whether we're getting the car repossessed, we're getting evicted from the apartment because I thought you was paying the rent. You can't even keep a steady job. And all of these things that's causing me to work overtime. I'm doing all of these things trying to keep us above water. And then you're out there acting like you're doing all of these things and you're doing nothing but drowning us. I'm trying to keep our heads above water and you're drowning us. But that could take years before you could see that. It could take years. The gaslighting is real, but then they can cover it up with the good stuff. They know how to that balance. You talk about that balance. Love without balance becomes labor, and that's exactly what it ends up being. Because there is no balance, and if I'm carrying way more than you're carrying, and you're the man here. At some point I gotta wake up and realize, that reciprocity matters, our emotional equity matters, and it can't be swept aside as if it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna suffer from all of that, because there's a deficit now. That's when you learned about that reciprocity in relationships and the emotional imbalance that was there, and you decided to get a divorce.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I knew. So like my situation was a little different because we lived separately for the first 2 years of our marriage because at the time my daughter was in high school. And I didn't want to uproot her from her school. I wasn't getting ready to pull her out and, put her in a different schools. No, I'm going to let her stay where she was at. Yes. So I didn't move in with him until right after we got married in 2017, in September of 2017. I didn't move in with him until September of 2020.
Wow.
So... yeah.
Do you think that was part of the problem? Like you got married and then y'all lived separately and there was no getting to know you as a married couple, period. And then there was a lot that was missed that could have been recognized?
No, I think so. Part of the thing is his dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I want to say the year after we got together, because we were engaged in like July of 2018. And And then his father got sick. And so we actually moved up the wedding because I wanted to have a destination wedding in St. Lucia. But because his dad got sick and he wanted his dad to be able to be at our wedding, we pushed it up. And so I feel like that was probably the first mistake. Like, I feel like that year would have given me more time to just really see him as a person. But I feel like really not even that, because when I tell you he was a phenomenal actor, this man was a phenomenal actor. Like, you couldn't tell me that he was lying to me. Like, he was that good. He was that good. And like I said, the fact that the family was backing up what he was saying, and I'm just like, I fell for it. So, yeah. Man, listen, this man tried his best to humble me, like, every which way but right. Like just constantly throwing monkey wrenches in my plan, like, making it the environment such that it was not conducive to learning and just all the things. And so I knew that I kept telling myself, my mantra was, Karlette, your life is not going to be like this for the rest of your life. Yes. You just got to get past this little bump in the road here, but this is not how your life is going to be for the rest of your life. Like, this is temporary, is what I kept telling myself. Like, because there is no way. And so the only reason why I stayed in it as long as I did was, one, COVID. Like, where was I going to go? What am I going to do? So at that point, like I said, I got a scholarship, a full ride scholarship to attend the university that I was in. Well, at one point, I even thought about going and moving into the dorms because it had gotten that bad. And I was just like, girl, you in your 40s. What the hell you look like living in somebody's dorm? Let's be for real about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I cannot leave this school. I got a scholarship. Like,
Yes.
When I'm looking at it like, okay, can I, how much of this can I endure at this point?
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do, because I'm just like, I've come too far to give up on my dream at this point.
That's right.
And my daughter's watching me at this point. Yeah. Like, what do I look like, giving up and, on my dream at this point because this man, like, that was just a wild concept to me. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, Karlette, you got this. You got this. You can do what you got to do. So, when things got bad, I went to my advisor, like, listen, I'm going through some personal things at my house. Can I get an extension for this to take this exam? Can I get an extension, for, to turn in this assignment? Like, doing all the things. And at one point, his aunt that married us, she opened up her house to me. And was just like, I want you to know that we're family. Like, if you feel like you need some time to yourself, you need to catch a break, whatever, my house is open to you. She had zero problems with me being in her house. She was very helpful. In fact, she was the one person in this family that, didn't buy into all the lies that he was telling people about me. Like, she saw through that. She was just like, no, I don't think so. So, I was very appreciative of her opening up her doors. And she was just like, just do me a favor. She had to do 3 things. I did 2 out of the 3 for a long time. She was just like, pray for him. If he hasn't changed by the time you graduate from school, then you do what you got to do. And she was just like, take care of yourself. So I stopped praying for him because I'm just like, I don't think it's working.
And the other 2 things, they take up a lot of energy. You got your degrees, you finally got your master's, and then went on to pursue your doctorates. You did all of that while going through divorce and then single parenthood. And you never stopped. You talked to the advisors, look, I'm having some personal issues. Give me an extension on this. You took control of that. And then you end up working for this company. So I think it's last September, where you decided to walk away from a job that You just quit.
I did. The only reason why I even took that job was because, so I told this dude I had to wait 90 days when I moved here in order to file for divorce, right? So that didn't happen until December of last year. And so this joker had the audacity to tell me, because he wasn't working at the time, that he could make me pay him spousal support. I'm like, oh, okay. So these are the games that we want to play at this point. And so I thought, well, you know what? If he's already showing me his hand, he's already telling me what he's capable of doing. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna make sure it comes from the smallest pot possible, because when I got out here, I was there. They was throwing money at me. They were like, "Oh, you have so much experience," and they found out I was going for my doctorate degree. I was like, "Oh yeah, you know." And so that was the lowest job. That was the lowest salary offer that I had on the table at that time. I was like, if this Negro is gonna make me pay him anything, it's coming from the smallest pot ever. And so that's how I ended up with that job. I knew within 60 days of being at that job that I should not be there. I shouldn't be there. Right. The only reason why I stayed was because, one, I was going through the divorce. I was in school, and I was just like, yeah, okay. So I was like, so I'm gonna play this game. And I was just like, as soon as that divorce was over, as soon as I graduated from school, and I was just like, I'm done. The divorce was finalized in June of 25. I graduated. I defended my dissertation in August of 25. I was like, oh, it's time to be up. They had really unrealistic expectations for productivity and stuff. And I'm just like, you do realize that I'm a human. Yeah. Like, that is ridiculous. I'm like, this is why there's a revolving door of therapists leaving this place, because you all have you're unrealistic with your expectations. Yeah. And so I went. September 5th was my last day there. It was a Friday. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just like, I'm going to hand in my letter of resignation today. And that's what I did.
And you did that without any plans, any other job that was waiting for you, without any of that. You just put in your letter of resignation and said, I'm out of here.
I had several job offers on the table at the time. I was just like, you know what? I'll do home health. So I started it, but I was just like, I'm not feeling this too much. This is my third job in 1 year. My desire is to be in the NICU.
You are going to be stepping into a new chapter. You mentioned earlier that you are turning 50 in a couple of months. What excites you about turning 50?
So when I tell you that I grew up and I was sick, I was already planning to not be here as long as I have been here. I had made preparations for my daughter, took out huge life insurance policies to make sure that she was okay in my untimely demise. Because again, I was sick growing up, and, even a few years ago, back in 2023, I had rushed to the hospital because I was having an issue, had to have emergency surgery done. And it was just another one of those things where I made it to the hospital in the nick of time. So to reach 50, every birthday, I am extra. I celebrate my birthday all month long. If you pay attention to my page, baby, I'm every day is my birthday in January. You can't tell me that it's not. My actual birthday is January the 14th, but I celebrate the entire month. Yeah. So for me to reach this milestone in my life, you're gonna make me cry. It's huge to me. It is huge. So it means everything.
Yeah. Now, did a doctor tell you that, or is that just something you just thought because you ran into illnesses so much? And you just...
No, I've heard that 3 times in my life.
Wow.
3 times. I tell people I've literally been fighting for my life since day one. When I was born, remember I told you I was born in a house in Columbus, Mississippi with a midwife. When I was born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck several times. I was not even breathing when I came out. So she had some work to do on me to get me to breathe and cry and all the things. So I tell people I've been fighting for my life since day one, you know.
That's exactly why you're so fearless. You didn't say what this next decade will represent for you. What are your plans for turning 50? What, like, are you having a big party? Are you going on a big trip?
So I'm not that party girl. Like I don't need all eyes on me. I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. So I don't do parties, but I want to go to Thailand. And so I was just like, I heard on your podcast with Marcy. Marcy had been to Thailand. I'm like, she did everything that I want to do. I'm like, I need Marcy's information because that's what I want to do. I said I want to jump out of plane. I want to do, the pool with the water, say happy birthday, Karlette. I got to do that. I got to do the big dumb lily pads and the clear bottom boat. I need to do that. I need to be on somebody's sanctuary. But I said I wanted to do some sort of spiritual retreat because they have a retreat there where it looked crazy on videos, but I swear to God, that's what I need to release all the stress that I felt for the last 5 years, where these women are like screaming and like, they're like purging like stress and illness, sickness, whatever out their bodies. And they all come out and they say they feel healed, they feel completely different. And I'm like, I need that in my life. I'm like, because I can't just be walking around here screaming, people looking at me like I'm crazy. Like I need to go where it's gonna make sense.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it sounds so detoxifying. Like an inner detox, let it all out. And I believe that. I believe that healing, as part of your healing journey, you need to detox. I saw on some reality show the other day where you go in this room with a bat and you just start breaking stuff. People don't realize that that's healing. And
absolutely.
And it's necessary. It's a necessary part of our healing journey. But you said you wanted to write a book someday. Did you say that, or am I just saying that?
No, I do. I really do. I feel like I need to write about the events of my marriage because I feel like my life turned into a full-fledged Tyler Perry movie. And last summer, I felt like whoever was writing the script for my character, they were just doing extra stuff just for ratings for the summer because I felt like there's no way that this is my life. There's no way that this is my life. Like this is crazy. Like, So yeah, I need to talk about that. And I feel like I think be healing for a lot of women because that's something that we don't talk about. And I feel like it's the shame that's attached to it because for me, that was one of the biggest things is just letting go, that feeling the shame. And I'm like, Karlette, you don't have anything to be ashamed of. You didn't do anything. The only thing you did was you brought love to these people who needed love.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's it.
So forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know.
Because when people send their representatives and they're dishonest and they're deceiving you, that's not on you. That's on them. Yeah, forgive yourself. Look in that mirror like you look in that mirror and talk to Karlette and forgive yourself for not knowing.
My biggest thing was, okay, like, where was your discernment? And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, discernment wouldn't have helped me, because the things that he was telling me, I wasn't there for. So how am I going to verify if somebody lying to me or not? Like, that's a crazy concept. And like, even within my marriage, at one point, I had to go in a bathroom to myself because as women, we think if we love him more, if we do this, if we do that, and it's just like, Karlette, now you being stupid because why would you give him more love when he's not even appreciating the love that you're giving to him right now? Yeah. Like, girl, think about what you're doing. Yeah. So I would have these conversations like, girl, you need to stop. Yeah. And so that's when I started minding my own business. Yeah. I'm just like, nah. Yeah. I mean, it was a whole dumpster fire around me. And I'm the one just sitting at the table, minding my business, doing homework.
Yeah. And then that book, that part of your story that you were compelled to share in a book is going to turn into a movie because it's so unbelievable that
And it was.
is going to hit somebody's screen in the theaters near you someday.
I couldn't make it up at all. Like the things that happened to me, like my imagination is not that vivid where I could just piece together all the things that have happened to me. Like, because this is no way possible.
No, absolutely not. What would people be surprised to learn about you?
I think people would be surprised to learn that I'm not as shy or introverted as people think that I am. I think it's crazy because, like I said, most people think that I'm either mean or stuck up when they first meet me. How, I don't know, because I'm just quiet and minding my business. I have the tendency to just sit back and observe people, and I've since learned that that's actually a trauma response from childhood. So I was just like, that was like, yeah, that checks. Because I'm always, my head is on a swivel, like, just checking people out, like trying to just figure out, like, I don't know how I feel about you. So, I'm going to keep my mouth closed. And I feel like, I learn more about people listening and observing them than, anything else, because people tell you whatever you need to know about them. All you got to do is just shut up and listen. That old adage comes to place, whereas, you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk because God gave you ears and one mouth. That's what I was always told.
Yes. So would that be your same response if I were to ask you if women listening to this episode right now is standing on the edge of walking away from a relationship, from a job, from an old version of herself, what would you want to say to her?
Just do it. This is literally, when I tell you the last 2 years have been nothing but pivots in my life. Like none of what I'm doing was on any bingo card. Okay. I didn't like a job. I pivoted twice since I've been here with jobs. Like, oh, this ain't for me. Like when I tell you the next half of my life, I'm generally a happy person. I live my life in a way that I have very little regrets at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so now, with me being afforded this doctorate degree, it has opened up doors for me that little Karlette would have never even imagined. Like, they call you Dr. Ford, babes. This was our dream.
Yes.
So for me to be in this situation, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my career.
Yeah.
You can Google what I do for a living.
Yeah.
You won't find my salary listed. It's going to be in like the top 10%, because when I tell you they've been throwing money at me since I've been here, it's just doors have just been open like you would not believe. People have received me in ways that, I know it's an act of God. It's nothing more than still the universe is aligning my life for me. Yeah. And so I'm excited about all the things that are to come. Like, I can't wait. Like this next half, even in terms of my daughter, I'm going to be an empty nester, but I'm having to start all over again from a place of experience. I have more money this time around to start a life than I did when I was in my 20s. Yeah. So I feel like I've positioned myself in ways that, I've never depended on a man outside of me being in school, being married, never had to depend on a man. And I positioned myself to never, ever, ever, ever need to be in a position whereas a man is going to, dictate, my well-being. Like that will never happen again in life. Like people have asked me, hey, are you going to get married again? I don't know. I don't know if marriage is in the books. I kind of like having the bed to myself. Don't have to worry about people farting and belching, and I can have a bowl of cereal for dinner if I want to. Okay, I ain't got to cook.
Yes, that's right. You have a life motto from Shirley Chisholm. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring in a folding chair. What does that mean for this season of your life?
Just looking back on things now, Like, I didn't have a seat at the table at all. Like, opportunity was not knocking on my door. I went and I built my own door. Like, y'all gonna let me in here. Like, listen, I've been having conversations with people. Oh, what do you bring to the table? Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes, you are the table. Beautifully, beautifully said. So we've come to the end of this. I don't even have any more questions. But thank you so much, Karlette, for sharing your journey, your light, and your wisdom with us. Sitting with your story tonight, from your marriage to raising your daughter on your own, to losing friendships, to walking away from what no longer serves you, and still rising to earn your doctorate degree. It's impossible not to see the hand of purpose all over your life. You are so inspirational today. You even honored your marriage by knowing when to leave it. You honored your daughter by choosing wholeness. You honored yourself by refusing to die in survival mode. And now you stand highly educated, so confident, so comfortable in your own skin. You're clear-headed and still healing and becoming. And I look forward to see what's coming up for you in your next chapters. And as you continue to stepping into your next chapter and walking towards your NICU certification, you're honoring your milestone birthday, and maybe even one day telling your story through a book, just know that your life is already preaching to people who have never heard your voice. You are amazing. Like I said, you didn't just bring the chair, you built the table. So thank you, Karlette, for your honesty, for your courage, and thank you for choosing to share the journey with me and welcome me today on this podcast. And it feels so fitting that this podcast took place in Mesa, Arizona, a place where the sun doesn't ask permission to rise, where growth happens in silence, and where only what's rooted deeply enough can survive in that Arizona heat. From the desert of Mesa to the depths of emotional healing, Dr. Karlette Ford reminds us that everyone will not belong in your next season. Healing is not quiet, it's disruptive. Growth exposes truth. Peace will cost you. It's expensive, but pay it. It's always worth it. And what is for you will find you when you stop gripping what isn't, and becoming will require you to release versions of yourself you once needed just to survive. If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And if they can't sit with the new you, walk alone until you find your people. Everyone, meet Karlette, a true example of rising with courage.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun, Tracy. I appreciate the invitation.
Yes, this was so much fun. Remember, the journey to healing isn't a straight climb, but every step forward matters. So wherever you are on the journey, feel it, face it. Trust that something greater is always waiting on the other side. Thank you for giving yourself the gift of exploring what it really means to survive, to heal, and to rise. Let's take this journey, keep traveling, and rise together.
I'm touching the sky. Not my trauma, not my chains. Turn the struggle into gains. Every step I rise again. Watch me fly.